They said marrying him would ruin our family name forever. My mother's final words to me that morning were sharp as broken glass. A plumber, Nia. How utterly humiliating. My sister Kesha laughed so hard she nearly choked on her champagne mimosa. Who would even attend something so pathetic? She sneered, shaking her head like I was a stray dog begging at the door of a five-star restaurant. They didn't show up. Not one of them. I stood at the top of that aisle in my ivory dress, hands trembling around a bouquet I'd spent weeks choosing, staring at 20 empty chairs on my side. 20. Every single seat reserved for my family sat vacant, like ghosts of the love I thought I'd always had. Meanwhile, Marcus's side was packed. Humble faces, warm smiles, people who didn't care about bloodlines or bank accounts. But here's what they didn't know. They had no idea that in less than 48 hours, the man they called just a plumber would be plastered across every major news network in America. They had no clue that Marcus wasn't who they thought he was, not even close. And when the truth exploded into the light like a bomb detonating in slow motion, my phone would buzz with 129 missed calls, 87 frantic texts, and one voicemail from my mother that I will never, ever forget. My name is Nia. I'm 28. I'm a landscape architect in Atlanta, and I design places where people find peace. But I never found it in my own home until I married the man my family called beneath me. Before I tell you how Marcus brought my arrogant, elitist family to their knees, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Hit that like button and subscribe if you've ever been judged by the people who were supposed to love you no matter what. Because this story, it's about to get wild. Let me paint you a picture of the world I grew up in. My parents, Desmond and Patrice Monroe, weren't just wealthy. They were Atlanta royalty. My father owned a chain of luxury car dealerships across the Southeast. My mother sat on the boards of 3 prestigious charities, attended galas in gowns that cost more than most people's monthly rent, and never, not once, let us forget that image was everything. Our home was a sprawling estate in Buckhead, with marble floors so shiny you could see your reflection, chandeliers imported from Italy, a wine cellar my father gave tours of like it was a museum. Every dinner was a performance. Every conversation had a hidden agenda. And every achievement was measured not by happiness, but by status. My sister Kesha, she was the golden child, Harvard Law, engaged to a corporate attorney whose family owned half of Savannah. She wore designer everything, spoke 3 languages, and could work a room like a politician. My parents adored her. She was their masterpiece. And then there was me. I loved plants more than people. I spent my weekends sketching garden designs in coffee shops, getting dirt under my nails, dreaming of creating spaces where people could breathe. I went to Georgia Tech, studied landscape architecture, and took a job that paid well but wasn't glamorous. I didn't want the spotlight. I wanted meaning. That made me the disappointment. Nia, when are you going to do something impressive? My mother would sigh over brunch, stirring her tea like my existence bored her. Your sister is changing the world. You're planting flowers. It stung, every single time, but I learned to live with it. I learned to shrink myself, to nod and smile when they made jokes at my expense, to pretend it didn't hurt when they forgot my birthday, but threw Kesha a surprise party with 200 guests and a live band. I told myself I didn't need their approval, but deep down, I was still that little girl desperate to make them proud. Then I met Marcus. It was a random Tuesday afternoon. A pipe burst in the community garden I was redesigning, and the city sent someone out to fix it. He showed up in a faded blue work shirt, tool belt slung low on his hips, easy smile that lit up the whole space. We started talking. He asked questions about the plants, the design, the purpose behind it all. He listened, really listened, in a way no one in my family ever had. We started meeting for coffee, then dinner, then long walks where we talked about everything and nothing. He was kind, grounded, funny in this quiet, clever way. He didn't care about status or appearances. He cared about people, about integrity, about building a life that mattered. I fell in love with him so fast it scared me, but I knew what was coming. The first time I brought him home to meet my parents, my mother took one look at his work boots and asked, "So, Marcus, what do you really do?" Like plumbing was a cover story for something respectable. When he said, "I'm a plumber, ma'am, been doing it for 8 years," the temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. My father cleared his throat. Keisha smirked into her wine glass. My mother's smile turned to stone. That dinner lasted 35 excruciating minutes. Afterward, my mother pulled me aside and said, "Nia, this is a phase. You're better than this." But I wasn't better than Marcus. I was lucky to have him, and I was going to marry him, whether they liked it or not. When Marcus proposed, I knew it would be a war. He did it in the garden I'd designed. Our garden. Down on one knee at sunset, with fireflies starting to flicker between the rosemary and lavender, a simple ring he'd saved 6 months to buy. It wasn't a 3-carat diamond from Tiffany's. It was a vintage sapphire set in silver, delicate and beautiful, and ours. I said yes before he even finished asking. I called my parents that night, buzzing with the kind of happiness I hadn't felt in years. I thought maybe, just maybe, they'd hear the joy in my voice and soften. I thought they'd realize that love, real, deep, soul-filling love, was more valuable than a tax bracket. I was wrong. My mother answered on the third ring. "Nia, it's late. What is it?" "Mom, I'm engaged." Silence. Then, "To the plumber?" The way she said it, like the word itself was poisonous, made my stomach drop. "His name is Marcus, and yes, Absolutely not." Her voice was ice. "Nia, I have tried to be patient with this little rebellion of yours, but this has gone too far. You are not marrying a tradesman. Do you understand what this will do to our reputation, to Keisha's prospects, to everything we've built?" I couldn't breathe. "Mom, I love him." "Love," she scoffed, "is a luxury people like us can't afford. You will break this off, or you will no longer be part of this family." She hung up. I stood there in my tiny apartment, phone trembling in my hand, tears streaming down my face. Marcus wrapped his arms around me and didn't say a word. He didn't have to. Over the next 3 weeks, the attacks came in waves. My father called and offered Marcus $50,000 to disappear. Marcus told him politely to keep his money. My mother sent me articles about marrying within your class, with passive-aggressive subject lines like "thought you'd find this interesting." Kesha texted me a laughing emoji and a screenshot of a meme that said, "When your standards are in the basement." They didn't come to my bridal shower. They didn't help me pick a dress. They didn't ask about the venue or the flowers or anything. But the worst part? They started telling people I was making a mistake, publicly. At a charity gala, my mother told a table full of Atlanta's elite that I was going through a phase and clearly acting out. My father joked to his golf buddies that I'd lost my mind. Kesha posted a cryptic Instagram story that said, "Sometimes family makes choices that break your heart," with a sad face emoji and 4,000 likes. I became the family embarrassment, the cautionary tale, the daughter who threw it all away for a man who worked with his hands. Marcus never flinched. He kept showing up, kept loving me, kept telling me that we'd build our own family, our own life, our own definition of success. He was my rock when everything else crumbled. 2 months before the wedding, I sent my family formal invitations, cream cardstock, hand-addressed, elegant, and simple. My mother sent hers back unopened. My father didn't respond at all. Kesha replied with a single text. I wouldn't be caught dead at a wedding like that. And that's when I knew. They weren't coming. Not one of them. But I was getting married anyway. When Marcus proposed, I knew it would be a war. He did it in the garden I'd designed. Our garden. Down on one knee at sunset, with fireflies starting to flicker between the rosemary and lavender, a simple ring he'd saved 6 months to buy. It wasn't a 3-carat diamond from Tiffany's. It was a vintage sapphire set in silver, delicate and beautiful, and ours. I said yes before he even finished asking. I called my parents that night, buzzing with the kind of happiness I hadn't felt in years. I thought maybe, just maybe, they'd hear the joy in my voice and soften. I thought they'd realize that love, real, deep, soul-filling love, was more valuable than a tax bracket. I was wrong. My mother answered on the third ring. Nia, it's late. What is it? Mom, I'm engaged. Silence. Then, to the plumber? The way she said it, like the word itself was poisonous, made my stomach drop. His name is Marcus, and yes, absolutely not. Her voice was ice. Nia, I have tried to be patient with this little rebellion of yours, but this has gone too far. You are not marrying a tradesman. Do you understand what this will do to our reputation, to Keisha's prospects, to everything we've built? I couldn't breathe. Mom, I love him. Love, she scoffed, is a luxury people like us can't afford. You will break this off, or you will no longer be part of this family. She hung up. I stood there in my tiny apartment, phone trembling in my hand, tears streaming down my face. Marcus wrapped his arms around me and didn't say a word. He didn't have to. Over the next 3 weeks, the attacks came in waves. My father called and offered Marcus $50,000 to disappear. Marcus told him, politely, to keep his money. My mother sent me articles about marrying within your class, with passive-aggressive subject lines like, "Thought you'd find this interesting." Kesha texted me a laughing emoji and a screenshot of a meme that said, "When your standards are in the basement." They didn't come to my bridal shower. They didn't help me pick a dress. They didn't ask about the venue or the flowers or anything. But the worst part? They started telling people I was making a mistake, publicly. At a charity gala, my mother told a table full of Atlanta's elite that I was going through a phase and clearly acting out. My father joked to his golf buddies that I'd lost my mind. Kesha posted a cryptic Instagram story that said, "Sometimes family makes choices that break your heart," with a sad face emoji and 4,000 likes. I became the family embarrassment, the cautionary tale. The daughter who threw it all away for a man who worked with his hands. Marcus never flinched. He kept showing up, kept loving me, kept telling me that we'd build our own family, our own life, our own definition of success. He was my rock when everything else crumbled. 2 months before the wedding, I sent my family formal invitations, cream cardstock, hand-addressed, elegant and simple. My mother sent hers back unopened. My father didn't respond at all. Keisha replied with a single text. I wouldn't be caught dead at a wedding like that. And that's when I knew. They weren't coming. Not one of them. But I was getting married anyway. The morning of my wedding, I woke up alone. No bridesmaids bustling around. No mother zipping up my dress. No sister handing me tissues while we laughed about cold feet. Just me, in a tiny Airbnb near the venue, staring at my reflection in a mirror propped against the wall. My dress was simple. Lace sleeves, a flowing skirt, nothing extravagant. I'd done my own makeup. My hair was pinned up with flowers I'd picked from the garden that morning. I looked like myself. And for the first time in my life, that felt like enough. But my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I kept checking my phone. Part of me, the little girl who still wanted her parents' approval, kept hoping they'd change their minds. That I'd see a text saying, "We're on our way. We're sorry. We love you." Nothing. I arrived at the venue an hour early. It was the garden I'd designed, the one where Marcus proposed, transformed into something magical. White chairs arranged in neat rows, an archway wrapped in ivy and jasmine, soft music playing from a string quartet Marcus's friend had hired. I stood behind the trellis, peeking out at the gathering guests. Marcus's side was full. His childhood best friend, his crew from work, a few cousins, his former boss, people who'd driven hours to be there. They were laughing, chatting, radiating warmth. Some wore suits that looked a little worn, others looked surprisingly sharp, but every single one of them looked happy. Then I looked at my side. Empty. Row after row of vacant white chairs staring back at me like an accusation. 20 chairs, not one occupied. My chest tightened, my vision blurred. I felt the bouquet slipping from my fingers. Then my phone buzzed. I pulled it out, heart hammering, praying it was my mom. It wasn't. It was a notification from a news app. Breaking: billionaire tech entrepreneur revealed to be former plumber from Atlanta. I stared at the screen, confused. My thumb hovered over the notification. Why was I seeing this? Why now? I opened it, and my entire world tilted sideways. The photo at the top of the article was Marcus. My Marcus. Standing in a sharp navy suit, shaking hands with the governor. The headline underneath read, "Marcus Cole, founder of Aquatech Solutions, sells revolutionary water filtration company for $1.2 billion. I couldn't breathe. I scrolled frantically, reading fragments through the haze of shock. Started as a plumber 8 years ago. Developed a patent for eco-friendly water purification systems. Quietly built a company now valued at over $1 billion. One of the youngest Black entrepreneurs. To achieve this milestone asterisk, there were photos. Marcus at a tech conference, Marcus in a boardroom, Marcus receiving an award from the mayor. My hands were trembling so hard I nearly dropped the phone. He never told me. Not once. He let my family mock him. Let them call him just a plumber. Let them treat him like he was beneath us. And he never said a word. The music changed. Canon in D began to play. It was time to walk down the aisle. I stepped out from behind the trellis, legs shaking, heart pounding, clutching that news notification like a lifeline. And as I walked toward Marcus, who stood at the altar with tears in his eyes and the most tender smile I'd ever seen, I realized something. He didn't need to prove himself to anyone. He already knew his worth. But my family? They were about to find out. I don't remember much of the ceremony itself. Everything felt like I was underwater. Sounds muffled, vision blurred, heart pounding so loud I could barely hear the officiant. Marcus held my hands and looked at me like I was the only person in the world, but I kept glancing at my phone tucked into my bouquet, that article burning a hole in my mind. 1.2 billion. I wanted to scream. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to grab him and demand answers, but instead I said, "I do," and kissed my husband for the first time as his wife while 20 empty chairs sat behind me like silent witnesses. The reception was small. Marcus's friends toasted us with cheap champagne and told embarrassing stories that made everyone laugh. His best man, Eric, gave a speech about how Marcus once fixed a broken water main at midnight in the freezing rain because an elderly woman's heat had gone out. "That's who he is," Eric said, raising his glass. "He shows up." I kept smiling, kept nodding, kept pretending everything was fine. But the second we had a private moment behind the catering tent, I grabbed Marcus by the collar and whispered, "We need to talk. Now." His eyes widened. Nia, what? I shoved my phone in his face. The article. His photo. The words. 1.2 billion chol. In bold black letters. He went very still. Explain, I said, voice shaking. Right now. Marcus exhaled slowly, running a hand over his face. I was going to tell you. Tonight. After the wedding, I swear. You're a billionaire? I hissed. And you didn't think that was worth mentioning before we got married? No. His voice was firm. I didn't. I stared at him, stunned. Naya, listen to me. He took my hands, his grip gentle but steady. 8 years ago, I was a plumber. That's the truth. I worked 60-hour weeks fixing pipes, unclogging drains, doing honest work. But I saw a problem. Water systems in underserved communities were failing, people were getting sick, kids were drinking contaminated water. So I started tinkering. I developed a filtration system that was affordable, sustainable, scalable. He paused, eyes searching mine. I patented it, built a company, kept working as a plumber during the day and running Aquatech at night. For years, I didn't tell anyone, not my friends, not my family. And when I met you, I didn't tell you because I needed to know you loved me, not what I'd built, not the money, not the status. Me. Tears were streaming down my face. Marcus, your family treated me like I was worthless, he continued, voice breaking, and I let them. Because I wanted to see if you'd choose me anyway. And you did, Nia. You walked down that aisle with your entire family abandoning you, and you still chose me. That's how I knew. I kissed him. Hard. Right there behind the catering tent. Mascara running. Bouquet crushed between us. I love you, I whispered. I don't care about the money. I know. He smiled. But your family will. What do you mean? He pulled out his phone and showed me his notifications. News alerts, interview requests, messages from reporters, investors, politicians. The story broke 2 hours ago, he said quietly. By tomorrow morning, my face will be on every major network in the country, and your family is going to see it. My heart stopped. Oh my God. Marcus grinned. Buckle up, Mrs. Cole. This is about to get very interesting. I woke up the next morning in a boutique hotel near the airport, wrapped in Marcus's arms, sunlight streaming through the curtains. For exactly 4 seconds, everything was perfect. Then my phone started ringing, and ringing, and ringing. I grabbed it off the nightstand, squinting at the screen. 12 missed calls, 15 texts, 3 voicemails, all from my family. My stomach dropped. Marcus, I whispered, shaking him awake. It's starting. He groaned, pulling me closer. Let it ring. But I couldn't. My hands were already trembling as I opened the messages. Mom. Nia. Call me immediately. Mom. Why didn't you tell us? Mom. This is unacceptable. We need to talk. Dad. I just saw the news. Call me. Keisha. OMG Nia. Keisha. Is this real? Keisha. Call me right now. I scrolled further. Texts from aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't heard from in years. Everyone with the same frantic energy, the same desperate urgency. Then I saw the voicemail from my mother. I hit play and put it on speaker. Her voice came through, shaky and strange, like she was trying very hard to sound calm. Nia, sweetheart, it's Mom. I just saw the news about Marcus. I had no idea. We had no idea. This is wonderful, honey. Truly wonderful. Your father and I are so proud. We'd love to take you both to dinner tonight to celebrate properly. Please call me back. I love you. The message ended. I stared at the phone like it had just bitten me. Marcus sat up, rubbing his eyes. What did she say? She called me sweetheart, I whispered. She said she's proud. His jaw tightened. Of course she did. I felt something hot and bitter rising in my chest. They didn't show up to my wedding, Marcus. They left me standing at that altar. Alone. And now, because you're rich, suddenly I'm worth their time? He didn't answer. He didn't have to. I opened my laptop and pulled up the news. There he was. My husband. Front page of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Forbes, Bloomberg, CNN Business. Headlines screaming. Atlanta plumber turned tech billionaire sells company for $1.2 billion. Marcus Cole, the humble entrepreneur, revolutionizing clean water access. From fixing pipes to fixing the world, the Marcus Cole story. There were photos of him at conferences, shaking hands with senators, standing in front of the Aquatech headquarters, a sleek glass building I'd never even known existed. Interviews where he talked about growing up working class, learning the value of hard work, wanting to give back. He was everywhere, and my family had seen all of it. My phone rang again. This time, my father. I answered. Nia. His voice boomed through the speaker, loud and jovial in a way I hadn't heard in years. Sweetheart, congratulations. Your mother and I were just saying what a remarkable young man Marcus is. Truly remarkable. We'd love to host a reception for you too. Something proper. Something befitting the occasion. What do you say? I couldn't speak. My throat had closed up. Nia? Are you there? You didn't come to my wedding, I finally whispered. Silence. Dad. You didn't come to my wedding. Neither did Mom. Or Kesha. Or anyone. Well, he cleared his throat. We didn't understand the full picture at the time. But now he's rich. I finished. So now I matter. Nia, that's not... I hung up. And for the first time in my life, I felt powerful. By noon, I had 129 missed calls. I'm not exaggerating. I sat on the hotel bed and counted them. 129. My mother, 27 calls. My father, 19 calls. Kesha, 34 calls. Extended family, family friends, people I hadn't spoken to since high school. The rest. The texts were even worse. Kesha. Nia, please pick up. Kesha. I'm so sorry about everything. Kesha. Can we please just talk? Kesha. I miss you. I almost laughed. She missed me? She hadn't missed me 3 days ago when she sent back her wedding invitation with a note that said, "Have fun at your little garden party." My mother's messages were a masterclass in manipulation. Mom. Darling, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Mom. We've always supported you. Always. Mom. Your father and I would love to make this right. Mom. Please don't shut us out. And then there were the voicemails. I listened to a few out of morbid curiosity. My father, trying to sound casual. Nia, it's Dad. Just wanted to check in. We saw the news. Fantastic stuff, really. Marcus seems like a wonderful man. Let's grab lunch this week, yeah? My Aunt Carol, who once told me I was wasting my potential. Nia, honey, I always knew you had good instincts. I'd love to introduce Marcus to my husband's business partner. Let's set something up. Kesha, voice cracking. Nia, please. I messed up. I know I messed up. But you're my sister. Can we please just talk? I deleted them all. Marcus came out of the bathroom, toweling his hair, watching me with quiet concern. You okay? No, I said honestly. I'm furious. He sat down beside me. What do you want to do? That was the thing about Marcus. He never told me what I should feel. He just asked what I did feel and respected it. I stared at my phone, at the avalanche of sudden love pouring in from people who'd treated me like dirt 48 hours ago. I want them to feel what I felt, I said quietly. I want them to know what it's like to be invisible, to be dismissed, to be told you're not good enough. Marcus took my hand. Then let's make them wait. I looked up at him. What? Don't answer. Not yet. Let them sit with it. Let them realize that their approval doesn't matter anymore. His eyes were steady, kind, fierce all at once. You don't owe them anything, Nia. Not a call. Not an explanation. Nothing. He was right. For the first time in my life, I had the power, and I wasn't going to give it away. So I turned off my phone. We ordered room service. We watched terrible reality TV. We talked about our honeymoon, 2 weeks in Costa Rica, far away from Atlanta and the chaos. Marcus told me more about Aquatech, about his plans to expand into schools, into rural communities, into places that had been ignored for decades. He wasn't just rich, he was doing something with it. And he'd chosen me. Not because of my last name or my family's connections, but because I saw him when no one else did. That night, as we fell asleep tangled together, my phone still off, I felt something I hadn't felt in years, peace, but I knew it wouldn't last. Because tomorrow, we had to go home, and my family wasn't going to let this go. Not even close. 3 days later, we flew back to Atlanta. Marcus had meetings lined up. Interviews, investor calls, a sit-down with the Wall Street Journal. His face was everywhere. Billboards, websites, a feature on Good Morning America, where they called him the most inspiring entrepreneur of the decade. I still hadn't responded to my family. We pulled up to our apartment, a modest 2-bedroom in East Atlanta that we'd picked because it had a backyard where I could garden. Marcus had offered to buy us a house, something bigger, but I'd said no. I liked our little space. It felt like us. But as we turned onto our street, I saw them. My mother's black Mercedes, my father's silver Lexus, Kesha's white Range Rover, all parked in front of our building. You've got to be kidding me, I muttered. Marcus squeezed my hand. You want me to handle this? No. I unbuckled my seatbelt, jaw tight. I've got it. They were standing on the front steps. My mother in a cream pantsuit, pearls glinting in the afternoon sun. My father in a polo and khakis, arms crossed. Kesha in designer athleisure, oversized sunglasses perched on her head. They looked like they were staging an intervention. I got out of the car slowly, Marcus right behind me. Nia! My mother's voice was syrupy sweet, arms outstretched like we were long-lost friends. Sweetheart, we've been so worried. Worried? I stopped 10 feet away. You've been worried. My father stepped forward, smile strained. We just want to talk, honey. Clear the air. There's nothing to clear. My voice was steady, cold. You made your feelings about my marriage very clear. You didn't show up. You called it a disgrace. You told me I was ruining the family. We didn't know, Keisha started. You didn't know what? I snapped. That Marcus was successful? That he had money? So what? That makes it okay now? My mother's face tightened. Nia, you're being unreasonable. And that was the moment I snapped. Unreasonable? I laughed, sharp and bitter. I stood at my wedding alone. Do you understand that? Alone. 20 empty chairs on my side while Marcus's friends, people who barely knew me, showed up to celebrate. And you three couldn't be bothered because you were embarrassed, because you thought he wasn't good enough. We made a mistake, my father said gruffly. We're here to fix it. You can't fix this. My voice cracked. You can't show up now, after everything, and pretend it didn't happen just because he's rich. Nia. My mother reached for me. I stepped back. No, you don't get to do this. You don't get to decide I'm worth your time now that it benefits you. Keisha's face crumpled. I'm sorry, okay? I'm really sorry. I was awful. I know I was. But you're my sister. Then where were you? I whispered. Where were you when I needed you? She didn't answer. None of them did. Marcus stepped forward, voice calm but firm. I think it's time for you all to leave. My father's jaw tightened. Now wait a minute. No. Marcus's tone didn't rise, but it cut like steel. You heard her. You're not welcome here. For a moment, my father looked like he might argue, but something in Marcus's eyes stopped him. They left. Slowly. Reluctantly. My mother glancing back like she was expecting me to call her back. I didn't. I watched them drive away, Marcus's arm around my shoulders, and felt something break open inside me. Not sadness. Relief. A week later, Marcus did an interview with 60 Minutes. I didn't know he'd agreed to it until the producer called me and asked if I'd be willing to participate. Marcus left the decision entirely up to me. I said yes. The interview aired on a Sunday night. We watched it from our apartment, curled up on the couch, my heart hammering as the opening credits rolled. The segment started with Marcus's story. The plumber who became a billionaire. The inventor who wanted to save lives, not just make money. Footage of him visiting schools, installing filtration systems in underserved neighborhoods, shaking hands with kids who had access to clean water for the first time. It was beautiful, powerful, inspiring. And then the interviewer asked the question that changed everything. Marcus, you kept your success private for a long time. Why? He smiled, glancing off camera, at me. I wanted to make sure the people in my life loved me for who I was, not what I had. And did you find that? I did. His voice softened. I found my wife, Nia. The camera cut to me. They'd filmed a short segment at our apartment earlier that week. I was sitting in our little garden, surrounded by the plants I'd nurtured, talking about how we met. I didn't know, I said on screen, voice steady. I had no idea about his company. And honestly, it didn't matter. He was kind. He listened. He treated me like I mattered. That's what I fell in love with. Then the interviewer asked the question I knew was coming. Your family didn't attend your wedding. Can you talk about that? I paused. Marcus had told me I didn't have to answer, but I wanted to. My family didn't approve of Marcus because he was a plumber. They thought he wasn't successful enough, wasn't prestigious enough. They didn't come to my wedding because they were embarrassed. I looked directly at the camera. But the moment they found out he was wealthy, suddenly they cared. Suddenly I mattered again. The interviewer leaned forward. How did that feel? Heartbreaking, I said quietly. Because it showed me that their love was conditional, and I deserve better than that. The segment ended with Marcus and me walking hand in hand through the garden, sunlight filtering through the trees. The response was immediate. Social media exploded. Hashtag Naya and Marcus started trending. People shared their own stories of being judged, dismissed, underestimated. Celebrities commented, news outlets picked it up. But more than that, my family saw it. Everyone they knew saw it. The next morning, I got a text from an old family friend. Saw the interview. Your mother is devastated. People are talking. Good, I thought. Let them talk. My mother tried calling again. Then my father. Then Kesha. I didn't answer. But a few days later, I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten. From my mother. I almost threw it away. But something stopped me. I opened it. Nia. I don't know if you'll read this. I don't know if I deserve for you to read this. But I need to say it anyway. I was wrong. Terribly, unforgivably wrong. I let pride and fear and status blind me to what really mattered. I let you walk down that aisle alone, and I will regret that for the rest of my life. I know I can't undo what I did. I know an apology isn't enough, but I am sorry. Truly, deeply sorry. If you ever find it in your heart to forgive me, I will spend the rest of my life proving that I've changed. I love you. Mom. I read it twice, 3 times, and then I folded it up and put it in a drawer. Maybe one day I'd be ready to respond, but not today. 6 months later, Marcus and I were sitting in the office of Aquatech's new headquarters. The building was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows, open workspaces, a rooftop garden I'd designed myself. Marcus had insisted on that. If I'm building something, he'd said, I want you in it. We were hosting a gala that night to celebrate Aquatech's expansion into 10 new countries. Investors, politicians, journalists, everyone who was anyone in Atlanta would be there, including my family. They'd been invited. Not by me, by Marcus. Are you sure about this? I'd asked when he told me. He'd taken my hand, eyes steady. I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for you, so you can see them on your terms, with your power. You get to decide what happens next. So here we were. I was wearing a midnight blue gown, hair swept up, diamond earrings Marcus had surprised me with that morning. I looked like someone who belonged in this world, because I did. The gala was flawless. A string quartet played in the atrium. Waiters circulated with champagne and hors d'oeuvres. Marcus gave a speech that brought people to tears, talking about access, equity, and the responsibility that comes with success. And then I saw them. My parents arrived first, dressed to the nines, moving through the crowd with the practiced ease of people who were used to these events. My mother spotted me and froze. For a moment, she just stared, eyes glassy. Kesha came next, alone. Her fiancé had broken up with her 2 months ago. Apparently, his family hadn't liked the scandal of being associated with ours after the 60 Minutes interview. Karma, I thought, is a beautiful thing. They approached slowly, hesitantly, like they were walking through a minefield. Nia, my mother's voice was small. You look stunning. Thank you. I didn't smile. My father cleared his throat. This is quite an event. Marcus has done something really special here. He has, I agreed. He's been doing special things for years. You just didn't notice. The words hung in the air, sharp and undeniable. Kesha stepped forward, eyes red-rimmed. Nia, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know I don't. But I miss you. Every single day. I looked at her. My sister, who'd laughed at my wedding, who'd called my husband a joke, who'd only come crawling back when it benefited her. And I felt nothing. No anger. No bitterness. Just a quiet, settled certainty. I don't know if I can forgive you yet, I said honestly. Maybe one day, but not today. My mother's face crumpled. Nia, please. I'm not saying never, I continued. I'm saying not now. You hurt me, deeply, and I need time to heal from that. If you really want to be part of my life again, you'll respect that. My father nodded slowly. We will, however long it takes. Marcus appeared at my side, sliding an arm around my waist. He didn't say anything. He didn't have to. His presence was enough. Kesha wiped her eyes. I'm proud of you. I should have said that a long time ago. Yeah, I said quietly. You should have. They left shortly after. I watched them go, feeling lighter than I had in months. Marcus kissed my temple. You okay? I'm better than okay, I whispered. I'm free. And I was. Free from their expectations. Free from their judgment. Free to build a life on my own terms, with a man who saw me, really saw me, and loved me anyway. That was worth more than anything. So here's what I learned. People will judge you. They'll measure your worth by your job title, your bank account, the car you drive. They'll tell you you're not enough, that your dreams are too small, that the person you love isn't good enough. But here's the truth. Their opinions don't define you. My parents thought Marcus was just a plumber. They were wrong. But even if he had been just a plumber, even if he'd never built a company or made a dime, he still would have been the best man I've ever known. Because his worth wasn't in his wealth. It was in his character, his kindness, his integrity. And my worth isn't in their approval. It took me 28 years to figure that out. But now that I know it, no one can take it from me. Marcus and I are building something beautiful. Not just Aquatech, though that's incredible, but a life, a partnership, a love that doesn't need validation from anyone else. My family? We're taking it one day at a time. Maybe we'll rebuild something. Maybe we won't. But either way, I'm okay, because I finally know who I am. And I'm enough. If you've ever been judged, dismissed, or underestimated by the people who were supposed to love you, I see you. You're not alone. And you are so much more than their opinions. Drop a comment and tell me, have you ever had to walk away from people who didn't value you? How did you find your strength? Hit that like button if this story resonated with you. Subscribe for more real, raw, powerful stories about love, family, and finding yourself. And remember, the people who are meant for you will see you. The rest? Let them watch from the sidelines. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next one.